Hello and welcome, this is Ian, and today I wanted to talk about digital ID cards. Are they a good thing? Are they a bad thing? And just sort of like scope out what you guys think out there. So obviously I'm self-employed. So how does that affect me? Is it going to be a good thing? Is it going to be a bad thing? I'm kind of in two minds. So who are my main competitors? Well, my main competitors are sort of people that are, you know, they're sort of signed off sick, or they've come to this country illegally, and obviously they can undercut me, because if you're signed off sick, getting benefits from the government, everything's paid for. Anything else is just a bonus. So even if you're working for like £25 an hour, you're like, oh, happy days, high five, And so those are sort of my main competitors that I just can't compete with. Yeah, if you find people like that, definitely probably don't employ them because they don't have insurance. And if they burn your house down or blow up your boiler, you'll be in a whole world of pain. Obviously, I don't touch gas. I make that very clear on my website. Even changing a radiator valve, you need to be gas certified to do that. So if someone comes out and they change a radiator for you, just know that unless they're gas certified, they're not really supposed to do that. And officially how it works with building regs, I'll explain it to you so that normal people can understand, is that basically if you change a valve on your said radiator and then you do it all correctly. So anybody can do that within reason. The second part is commissioning the boiler. So recommissioning the boiler and getting it fired up and getting it going again. You've got to repressurize the system, take the air out of the system. There's a whole lot of things that you got to do before you do it. And UK laws clearly state that you've got to be a fully qualified gas engineer in order to do that process. So when customers say, Ian, can you change a radiator? I always say to them, yes, I can change a radiator, but you will need a gas engineer to recommission your boiler. And then it's up to them if they want to recommission their boiler and get a gas engineer. But I take no liability, and I make it really clear that I don't take any liability, if the worst happens, because these things are dangerous, and there's a reason why the government is out there sort of like making sure that people are doing it safely. And I do everything super safe. I don't take any risks. Even now I get jobs where customers are like, oh, will you climb up a ladder and do this? And as you're getting older, you're like, no, I don't want to climb up a ladder and do that job. And I used to, so there's like churches that I've worked on. I probably would, if it was a church or if it was a school or if it was like, an important part of infrastructure and it was really, really needed and they couldn't get anybody else, I probably would. But yeah, for most people, I mean, I had one the other day where they needed LED flashing replaced to their property. And I was like, no, that's just outside of my scope. It's about 9 meters up. Maybe in the olden days I would have done it, but yeah, my ladders can go 10 meters. Anybody that's worked at heights understands that 10 meters is a heck of a distance, but with changes in insurance and also working regulations, etc., working from ladders, really 7.5 meters is kind of the maximum you ever really want to go. Even that, I'm sort of like a bit like, okay, I'll do that. But most of the ladder work that I do is generally indoors. I very rarely do outdoor stuff. So most of the stuff I do is like, say you've got a staircase, which most British homes do. They're sort of 2 stories high and they've always got that staircase with the awkward bit to paint at the top that nobody can reach. I generally do that. So some customers will employ me just to paint that bit. Now I can easily paint that within a 3-hour time period. So just go onto my website and book me in. I'm currently booked up for about 3 months, although I do get cancellations, so it's always worth sort of having a look. Sometimes what happens is I'll have a cancellation And then there's almost like a little tier effect, because some of my regular customers will be watching the website and they'll be looking and go, oh, Ian's had a cancellation there. I'm going to move my appointment forwards, because they might have booked an appointment and they've got to wait like 2.5 months, and they'll be like, oh, I've just seen there's a cancellation. I'm gonna move mine forwards to that position. And so that's what they do, which is always good, and we like that. So my system is very sort of user friendly. It helps you to manage and control your own diary as well as mine, because sometimes things happen, and customers need to go off and see somebody, or they need to do something, or there's sort of like an access issue for the property. So sometimes customers are like, oh, I've got to go and do this on that day now. I won't be around. Can I leave the keys with you? I try and be as accommodating as possible. What I generally do with that sort of situation is pop round and pick up a set of keys just before the sort of start date of when I'm due to do it. But I don't really like doing that, because I'm not a key holder. I don't want to be liable for anything. Sometimes the best thing to do is just leave keys with your neighbor, and then I can just knock on their door on the day and say, hey, can you let me in? And then your neighbor lets me in. Some people have little lock boxes. We're all very busy. And also, if you want a key safe fitted to your property, which is a very useful thing to have, and something that you should definitely look at doing. Insurance companies will still pay out an insurance if you're broken in, because these lock boxes are very safe. They're rated, you can buy them, they're not that expensive, they're about 15 quid. I might drop a link in the description below, or you can just go out and search for one. These little key lock boxes are amazing, because it allows people in the trade just to, like, here's the code to go get in. So you go in, you get in, you do what you need to do, and then you go off. And that's great. That's very, very helpful, because everybody leads a very, very busy life, and having a little key lockbox is also important if something happens and your children need to get into the house and there's a spare key in the lockbox that you know where it is. It's kind of probably round the back, behind the bins, attached to a brick wall. It can be out of sight. It doesn't have to be right by your front door. So the council use them all the time to access council properties. I used to work for the council, so they're very handy. So yeah, if you do have any other questions, please do sort of message me. At the moment, I offer a worldwide service of help and advice to everybody. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world, I can help you. It costs £19 for 20 minutes, and you can just book me online, and then it's like a pre-arranged time. It's all very sort of like easy to use. It's just a case of going onto my website and then booking yourself in, paying using PayPal, obviously. With PayPal, you can use like normal cards. You don't have to have a PayPal account, but most people have PayPal accounts out there. I haven't really met many people that don't. And PayPal obviously protects you, the customer, which is very important. It's a beautiful company. It's been around for a long time, actually. Wow. It's probably because Elon Musk was one of the first inventors of PayPal. And I'm a little bit I'm a little bit of a fanboy of Elon Musk, as well as many others. Obviously, you've got sort of like great people that have lived on this planet and done amazing things. You've got Sam, who's doing the old AI stuff, Sam Bankman. And what I find fascinating is where AI is really going at the moment. It's sort of like on this tangent of sort of, is it going to kill us, or are we going to benefit from it? But going back to the original thing of talking about ID cards, I think ID cards are not a bad thing. And here's why. Hear me out before the haters all go, it's a control. They're controlling us, Ian. The aliens are controlling us. Before we go down that route, let's just think about this for a second. Digital ID cards work really well in China. China obviously has a history of human rights violations, quite badly. Are they doing a good job now? I think, to be honest, China's not doing such a bad job. They sort of are going through the sort of motions of becoming more sort of like global and sort of more technologically advanced than us, and it's just incredible how they're sort of like doing in the world. And it's really fascinating to watch them on their journey of discovery and to see how they have progressed going forwards. And I'm sort of watching them and thinking, yeah, that's pretty cool, because in the UK we have no control over anything. The NHS is overrun. People can't get appointments. We currently have 4.5 million, not billion, 4.5 million children who are in poverty, abject poverty. And you've got charities like the Red Cross, UNICEF, who are over in the UK helping the UK, the most vulnerable people in the UK, just to survive. But you don't hear about this. You don't hear about these facts and figures. They're like hidden. They're like, oh, we don't want people to know that. We just want investors to invest in our country. But all the rich people are selling in the UK. And that's because you've got Rachel Reeves out there taxing them to oblivion. And they're like, oh, well, can't really survive this, can we? I voted Labour in the last election. That was pretty stupid, Did they stick up? No, they were rubbish. Absolute rubbish. I'm a bit of a flip-flopper. Sometimes I'm Conservative, sometimes I'm Labour. I am a 100%, die-hard Trekkie. So if you understand Star Trek, you understand me. Because obviously it's a capitalist system, Star Trek. And when you look at the sort of the way that they run and manage their society, basically you don't have to work in the Star Trek society unless you want to. But most people just follow their passions. They go off and they become an artist, or they sort of like become a scholar of the science. You've got people like Spock, who doesn't have emotions, and he's like an alien that works with them, and he sort of like helps them, and it's just so cool. It's like the coolest ever. You just go off and explore and have fun. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But they've obviously engineered solutions to all of their problems, and a lot of the problems that we have on this planet are all man-made. We are the problem, really. We could be the solution, but for that we need engineers. We need the next generation of people to find solutions to our problems, because if we don't, then we're in a whole world of pain. So yeah. But yeah, the struggle is real for most people, and our digital ID is going to actually help with that. Are they going to sort of revolutionize and change things? I don't think they're going to do too much good, because people can still bypass them. It did say in the Bible that we'd all have the mark of the beast. So the mark of the beast is where a lot of people think it's obviously you have a chip implanted. Now, I've got no plans of getting a chip implanted. You don't need one. Like what do you need it for? And implanting like chips into babies as soon as they're born and there's their passport, I'm not into that either. Mobile phones, yeah. Facial recognition, yeah. Thumbprints, fingerprints. We already have the mark of the beast, because we are the ID. We are the digital ID. I can unlock my phone with my face. Yeah. Also, a picture of your face can unlock your phone. So there you go. It can be hacked. But yeah, thumbprints, you can't really go wrong on that. And digital ID, well, we already have a digital ID. You know, every time you log into Facebook, every time you log into anything, you know, you don't think for a second that that camera on the front of your phone is not like taking a picture of you. You know, they're not recording that metadata. You know, the future is going to be that nobody's going to be invisible anymore. You're not going to have members of society that are invisible under the radar. So if you commit a crime and then decide to run off to the UK to claim benefits and asylum because, you know, you raped and killed somebody in your own country and you're escaping persecution, and you think, oh, I just chuck my passport away and then I can start afresh in the UK. Well, that's not going to work, is it? But it is working. So there you go. There's the little twist for you. Long term, I think it will work. Short term, no, not a chance. Will I see any benefit from it? Maybe. Who knows? In China, everything is paid using Alipay and QR codes. Brilliant. Why can't they do that here? Do I take any cash? I mean, I very, very, very occasionally take cash, but do you know how many cash point machines there are? None. Hardly any. You go around the UK, you look for a cash machine. You're not going to find one. No. So that's fun. But ultimately, most of my customers pay me via bank transfer or PayPal. 99% of them pay using PayPal because I sell my services by the hour. You know, I'm very cheap. You literally just go on to any sort of place and have a look for a handyman as cheap as me. Probably not going to find it unless they're not insured. And insurance is really important. So if you do find someone and you want to check their insurance and say, hey, can I see your insurance document? It's a QR code. I've got a QR code on my phone which links to my insurance company, Simply Be. That's the name of the insurance company. So you can just like scan my QR code, which I'll happily give you, and you can check to make sure I've got insurance. On that insurance document it's only my name and my company and what I'm insured for, which I think is about 2 million. So that's good. And that's really important that you do have insurance when you're in the trade because, you know, it's important to manage your reputation. I've got a really amazing reputation. I hope that my advice on here also helps other people in the trade or people who are thinking about getting into the trade and they're like, what does Ian think? Well, message me. You know, I might just answer. Or if you want to actually sort of like dial in and get a direct conversation with me and have a one-to-one, it's only £19 for my time, 20 minutes of my time. And you and me could be chatting away like old friends. So on that note, stay beautiful, everybody. Have an amazing day. And if you can be anything, be kind.